Hello, my beautiful angels. Welcome to Heartspace Atelier. My name is Henry. I'm your host. Thank you so much for being here. It has been a minute. Okay, I took a little break and I realized after the last episode of this podcast that I wanted to, take a bit of a break and kind of create this new season of the podcast. So here we are. I would say this is officially season 3 of Heartspace Atelier, and there wasn't too much time in between season 2 and season 3, but as I'm shifting into a new season of life myself and a new approach at how I show up on the podcast, on YouTube, on social media, I realized that I just kind of want the two paths to be one, you know? So, yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope you're all doing very, very well. I have this Angel Aura quartz on my lap, just, I don't know, charging me up with some beautiful sparkly energy. We have the candle lit. It kind of looks a bit whimsical and autumnal here because of the color scheme. And it is so hot. It is so hot, y'all. You have no idea. Last night I woke up from a crazy thunderstorm. Okay, it was the loudest thunder I've ever heard in my life. And it started pouring like crazy, but unfortunately the heat is back. So I'm really anticipating autumn. So, you know, if you are catching the vibe, that's where it's coming from. Anyway, today I want to talk about something that is very, very close to my heart, which is how to build your dream life. And I'm doing this because I believe we can decide just this second, in this very moment, to start alchemizing our present reality into something so beautiful, into something so dreamy. So I don't really think we have to work towards these big, insanely huge visions and dreams and goals in order to alchemize our life into the dream life. You know, I think that it's a process, and whatever reality you find yourself in and whatever goals you're currently approaching, I think it can be alchemized into gratitude, harmony, and just really living in devotion and integrity with gratitude, because I feel like that is really what it's all about, you know? Some people have way less and they still feel more gratitude than, I don't know, the greatest pop stars or artists or billionaires, whatever, you know? But I want to tell you about my approach and my story, especially the last year, because I feel like also it's August. It's August now. I'm recording in August. Also, if I'm breathing deeply, it's because I need to get used to this again, first of all. And secondly, it is just so unbearably hot and I really don't want to turn the fan on because of the background noise. So also, I'm just having a crazy deja vu right now. Are you kidding? Oh my god. Anyway, so it's been, oh my god, it's 5:55. Are you kidding? Okay, let's get to the point, Henry. It's been a really, y'all, I just saw 444. Wow, not me entering spiritual psychosis right off the bat. No. Okay, no. In all seriousness, let's get to the fucking point. So, last August, I was still working a very stable, very adventurous kind of, but very soul-sucking job, okay? My soul was sucked and stripped away from its essence a lot of the times in that job. And I knew last August that I had to quit, okay? And it wasn't like a huge awakening, like, oh my god, this happened and I need to get out of here immediately because otherwise I won't survive or anything like that. It was more of a gentle, Henry, you're not meant to be here. In this job, in this position, you are meant for something greater and you have to start building the path to that greatness now. And, well, last August, I kind of started doing it. I started laying the foundation. I was originally only going to tell you about December, because November, because that's when I officially quit that job. But I realized I already laid the foundation last August, because what I did last August, I started managing my finances to plot my escape and to have a little backup in order for me to have a couple of months to just be able to figure shit out, okay? I started posting again online because I knew I meant to have an online career, and I used to have one, okay, a couple of years ago. I used to post a lot of tarot readings, a couple of times a week on YouTube. I used to do all of that. It was a really I was really devoted to it, but then life came, beginning of my 20s. I wanted to try different things out, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of circled back to my online work and spiritual work and all of that, being an artist, being a spiritual life coach, all of that. I know it's in my blood. I know that I have the gift of being effortlessly inspiring, and I'm not just saying that because I'm oh, I'm so special, because I'm not. I'm really not special. But I believe everybody has a gift, and mine is just sometimes I be sitting down with people and they're like, oh my god, I'm so inspired. I'm like, girl, what did I do? I didn't really do anything. So these things happen more and more, and I realized I just needed to alchemize that and turn it into income, because I am not destined to be somebody that works a 9-to-5 job, because I have too many soul-fulfilling destinies to hit and mark down, okay? I have things to do and places to be. So many things. And I just talked about this in a TikTok of mine, which, by the way, I post there every day. Henry W. Rose on Instagram and TikTok. I post a shit ton. Just if you need a little pick-me-up on your day-to-day basis. If you want to see me every day, you check it out there. But basically, I posted something there I have so many inspirations. I have so many dreams and visions and hobbies. I want to fulfill all of them, so I'm not going to settle and decide for one thing. But in order for me to fulfill all of these things, I cannot really have a 9-to-5 job, because all of these things which I'm doing are able to be monetized. And this is also why I'm sitting here today, to tell you that your dreams and your hobbies and whatever the fuck you love to do, you can monetize it. And it took me a while to understand this. It took me a while to learn my power. And ever since I started going down this road all the way, I made money in my sleep, which hasn't really happened before. I woke up to some pretty thick orders from my whimsical crystal jewelry, okay? I have been starting to coach people and give them energy readings again more and more and more, and at this point I can proudly sit here and be like it's working, it's taking off, because I put in so much work. So I want to talk about what I did in order to get here. And this is just a disclaimer. I'm still definitely not where I want to be. I'm still not fully financially where I want to be. It's a growing process. It's a growing journey. And you need to have a lot of patience, especially when you decide to become self-employed, which is what I am. I work for myself. 1 second. Why did this just get darker all of a sudden? Wait. Anyway, never mind. You have to have a lot of patience, okay? You have to have a lot of patience, because let me just continue with the timeline, okay? So basically, August, I noticed, okay, I have to get out of this job. I need to create a stable foundation for myself of a like saved up bank account. Like I want to start saving my money. I don't want to spend money on some random shit that I don't need. Let me start saving my money and put it to the side. And then I started posting online. And then the months flew by, and I knew in my head, because December there was a work break, okay, like a whole month of work break. And in October, I already said to my workplace, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to talk about something soul-sucking on this channel and this space. But basically I said, hi, I'm leaving, like, starting December 1st. Like, I know we're on holiday anyway, but, like, after that I will not be coming back. And so that's what I did. And it was very easy for me because it was also kind of like a self-employed work, okay? So I wasn't under, like, a crazy contract or something. I could just, like, get out. With obviously some notice, but it was, yeah, the past few years I've done a lot of self-employed jobs. I worked at this TV program, like as a producer in the background. I worked as a social media for somebody else. I worked at a cafe. Girl, okay? I did some interesting out of character things, because when you look at me now, you wouldn't really think that I worked as a producer at a TV show, okay? And I not like a crazy serious producer, as in like writing and like directing and stuff. I was just giving the people in front of the camera some information in their little earbuds. Anyway, you probably don't give a fuck. But yeah, so I did a lot of that, and it was always self-employed work, because what I knew, like in those spaces, I always had a boss. But I was still able to get out if I wanted to. And that was very important to me, because I cannot handle having a boss. I knew that from a very young age. From my first job, I got into some very intense drama with my first boss, because she absolutely hated me, because I truly believe she hated me because I was very loved and appreciated in that space, because I knew a couple of people from that space, and when she got the job as the boss and manager at that space, she wasn't really that close to the people there, but I kind of was, okay? And I think that is why she kind of hated me. And at that very moment, I was like, okay, I was 17, mind you. I cannot have a boss. I just can't, like... Because I will say what's on my mind, you know, and it got me in a lot of trouble, but would I take anything of it back? No. But mind you, again, like, I was also very lucky, you know, because if I didn't know all the people there, if I wasn't close to them, like, I wouldn't have been able to keep that job. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so I knew I didn't want to have a boss. I didn't want to limit myself, because I spent my whole childhood being passive and making myself small and making myself be quiet in the face of drama and somebody taking power and holding power over me. So I just couldn't do it again. I don't have it in me, you know? So that is why last November I said goodbye. And I knew that I wanted to do one thing. Oh no. Is it falling again? This shit is falling all the time. I swear to God, I kind of have to hammer it onto the wall at this point. We ignore what just happened, okay? We wouldn't ignore if it fell down into the candle, but this is fine. Let's just ignore. I don't want to fix it now. I don't care. And I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to have a podcast, because this whole year of 2025, last year, I was called, divinely called, to create this podcast. I'm not even kidding. There were some crazy things that happened that let me know deep down to the bottom of my inner ocean, in my heart, I have to make this podcast. I ran into a colleague of mine that I had at my first job when I was 17, when I was still living in my hometown, which is a good amount of hours away from here, where I live now. I ran into that colleague here, in the middle of Berlin. And you know what he said? He said, "Oh my god, I remember, don't you have a podcast?" I didn't have a podcast back then. I didn't. I used to have one podcast millions of years ago. It was like 2020 or 2021 or 2021 or 2022, which I think I may have posted at that point on Instagram, and maybe he saw it or something, I don't know. But the very fact that he brought this up, the very fact that we ran into each other, this hasn't really happened before. I never ever ran into anyone from my hometown again, like anywhere else, you know? And I was like, when that happened, I felt deeply, I need to make a podcast, okay? So fast forward to November of last year, I am sitting down, I'm like, okay, I just quit the job. I have 2 more weeks to go. I think I was sitting somewhere in like a hotel room, because the job also required me to travel quite a bit. Not far, but like sometimes there would be like a day trip where we would have to get like hotel or something, you know? And basically I was sitting down and I was like, okay, I know like this is getting serious now. I just quit. I have thankfully saved up money, so I want to let my heart decide what should I focus on the next few months. And it kept telling me like podcast, okay? So that's what I started doing. I started Heartspace Atelier in December of 2025. We've been going strong ever since, okay, very consistent with it, except when I took 2 breaks in between seasons, you know, this break which just happened and the one in between season 1 and 2. So I'm very consistent with it, to a point where I also had to set some boundaries for myself, because then January of this year came around, and this is where things started getting juicy, guys, okay? This is where things started getting like very serious, because I was like, okay, podcast is great and all, but I also need to provide a product in order to actually make money. And I knew, like, I'm an artist, okay? I love creating stuff. I love creating fantasy worlds, basically. So I went on a solo trip to Scotland to visit my dear friend Mandy, which, by the way, she always listens to my podcast. Shout out to Mandy. She's so inspiring, and I think being in her orbit during that time, being in her home, which is very vibrant, and there's lots of like green energy, nature, and lots of like art in it, really inspired me. And I had this dream years ago. Of making jewelry, but I kind of wrote it off, and I just threw it away, because it just didn't really like cross my consciousness again. But on that solo trip, I was like, actually, I'm feeling it, you know? So I had this vision of like, I want to make crystal jewelry. I saw it from somebody else a couple of years ago, which I completely adored. A life coach. I think I mentioned her in my previous podcast episodes. Completely adored it and her craft. And she also made a very specific type of crystal jewelry. And I was very inspired by that, but I also knew like my style was kind of different and more like eccentric. Is that the word? Like extra and maximalist, because you can go on my website or my shop and see all the pieces I have. They are very like colorful and maximalist. So I wasn't really sure if it would land well, because especially nowadays people are I guess more into like a more minimalistic approach when it comes to like these things and fashion and all. But I love maximalist shit, okay? Like, I mean, look, you know, like there's many different elements in this necklace. A juicy heart, rose quartz heart in the middle and shit. Like, I love being extra, you know? So it really called to me and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it my way. I want to create a world around it because, as some of you may know, I love this medieval castle, nature, prince, knight in shining armor, princess kind of energy. I grew up watching Merlin. I don't know if any of you guys know that show, but it shaped me. Also, I have to sit different because my foot just fell asleep. Like crazy, this always happens. I always sit down in a very uncomfortable position and then it kind of backfires. So let me just sit down differently, guys. Oh, I'm not going to cut this out because what I've also realized, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't want to edit and make it seem polished and shit. Like, no, you're getting the rawest version of me, okay? Anyway, okay. Wait, no, this is this is even worse. Okay. We got it. Anyway, so I grew up watching Merlin, and that shit really set the tone for my aesthetic mind and visions. Also, I think I have to stop for 1 second because my foot is just driving me insane. Like, it's no longer bearable, so I'm gonna have to be right back, okay? Alright, y'all. Unfortunately, my phone went out of storage because I accidentally filmed in 4K. But it is okay. We are just going to finish this episode with the crappy MacBook camera, which is also... it's a vibe. Usually it's a vibe if it's in daylight, but this just looks kind of ugly, but it's okay. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about the fantasy world I wanted to build around my business, and I wasn't fully sure what I wanted to do at that point when I was on the solo trip. I was also considering making candles. I was considering creating a candle business. That was my initial idea, but it became very clear to me that jewelry just called me more, and candles are something I would like to do maybe in the future when I have already collected the business knowledge and financial, like building a website and promoting and marketing and all that stuff. Like, I wanted to have a black belt and all of that already before I dive into candle making, because it's also different, you know, because candles are obviously heavier and it changes a lot of things in regards to shipping, especially to countries further away. So I was like, you know what, jewelry is very juicy because I can make them myself. I want to learn how to make it myself anyway. I love it. I think it's great, and crystals especially. And I've always loved crystals. I grew up being a crystal child. My mom introduced me to rocks, marbles, crystals, all of that. So I was always obsessed with crystals, like my whole fucking life. And I started wearing crystal jewelry when I was like 16 or something, or even 15. So I've always been very connected to that. And there was a couple of things that I just wanted to, like, it seemed very big to me at the time, especially when I decided to go all in, like, I would say end of January. It was very important to me to give back to the earth, because what I had also learned before I started working on actually putting my business into reality is no matter what kind of business you have, it cannot be fully ethical, it cannot be fully sustainable. There's always going to be something that may be unsustainable and unethical. So it took me a while to get my ducks in a row on that. It took me a while to figure out where to source beads from that are not like linked to child work and shit. Like, I went into this very, how do you say, like oblivious. But as time went on, I realized, okay, this is where I should order from, this is what I shouldn't do. This is where I have to find a compromise. This is where I can give back. So I'm telling you this because it really helped me back in the beginning, because I was scared of leaving a bad footprint on Mother Earth, you know? But you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to do that because you learn as you grow. So now I know where to buy and where to not buy, what to avoid. And I also want to like give back and automatically donate percentages of my sales in the future when my brand or like my business, I'm still not sure what to call it. I'm really not sure. I like to call it brand, but also it's not H&M, obviously. Like, it's self-made. It's a quote-unquote small business, you know? I make all pieces myself very intentionally. So I would say my business, okay? I don't like saying small business because I don't like the word small. It makes it feel small, which it is not. It's a big deal to me, okay? So it took me a while to get all my ducks in a row. And I think it's important to tell you all of this because it scared me at first. It really, really scared me. But I also realized that if I truly want to be self-employed, I have to make compromises and I have to be okay with taking when it's needed. So that's what I did. That's what I did. And without any further ado, in February, or was it... maybe it was end of January. I think it was end of January. I ordered my first supply. I ordered my first crystal beads. I ordered my first like packaging a couple of days later, and it was so exciting to me. And the package was actually given to a neighbor at that time. And then the neighbor kind of disappeared and wasn't home, and I was going crazy because I was so excited to finally open that package and start making jewelry and learn how to do it. Because one thing about me, I'm quick, I'm a fast learner, okay? So my first initial plan was to open my shop in March, but it ended up being, I think it was February 17th when the year of the fire hose officially started. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it was 19th, I think it was 17th. So I was like quick with it. Like, I would be so locked in. I would make a shit ton of jewelry every single day. I would learn how to perfectionize it, how to make it my way, you know, how I like it, and all of that. So that is how I spent my February after this eye-opening solo trip in January. And then in March, and mind you, during those months, I was already consistently creating a social media appearance, and I had a couple of TikToks go viral. I had a couple of podcast episodes go a tiny bit more like around in the internet realm. And so I was creating a stable online appearance on the side. And then in March, I was like, you know what? I want to take it to the next level. I want to make myself more known. I want to make myself bigger online. So that's what I did. And I started posting like crazy because as I decided, I started getting a lot more inspiration as well on what to post. And I started getting downloads on like what text I should write, because I started posting like videos with like inspirational text and stuff. So obviously I had to think of what I would want to write, because it is very personal to me. I love writing, and my mind quickly whips up something. And yeah, I was very locked in, and I started posting like 4 times a day, like literally consistently for like 2 months. And then it was like, okay, let's take it down a notch. Let's post 2 times a day, but like, let's make it very, very intentional. Now I'm back to posting 3 times a day, which has been very great. I just had a couple of videos go viral. And this going viral on social media and stuff, and wearing my necklaces and sharing my creations, has been the biggest game changer for me and has gotten me customers that are coming back. What's the word? Consistently. Customers that are coming back consistently because they resonate with my craft, with what I say, with my work, because they know my jewelry is backed up by intention and my energy. And, you know, if they resonate with my stuff, they can see the whole picture, the whole brand, you know? So I did all of this in it's now August, the last 9 months, because December was kind of the starting point. And it really, really changed me. And there were a lot of challenges I had to overcome financially, emotionally, and a lot of things rocked my boat, okay? Very scary. I mean, not scary, but like scary, you know? And I am very privileged in many ways because a couple of months ago, I had also realized that I wanted to move out of my previous apartment because it just really, like, I couldn't see myself living there anymore because there was a rat invasion. Yeah, let's just keep it at that. I don't want to go any further. But crazy construction noises, like, and as somebody who is very clearly neurodivergent, I was going crazy. Especially within that environment. It's a very busy street, very loud. Everything was loud, noisy, and overstimulating. And one fine morning when a rat approached me as I was trying to throw the trash away in the garden downstairs, I had about enough, you know? So I was very lucky to move in with my partner. And I'm mentioning this because I know not everybody is privileged in that position to basically move somewhere where they don't, like, you know, have to pay rent or you know, maybe some of you who are watching this, maybe you moved back to your parents' house or like whatever. And I just want to tell you that is totally fine, because I see a lot of judgment surrounding that subject, which I think is so unnecessary, because I would rather, if this wasn't the case for me, I would have rather moved back home or did some like volunteering work in another country or like anything than to like let my energy be swept away by another 9-to-5 job. I needed a space where I can fully dive in deep on my business, and I have been given the ability to do so with this place, and I'm very grateful for that. Okay? I'm very grateful for that, and I'm mentioning this because I know it's not that case for everyone, and a lot of people also don't even have the ability to go back to their parents' place because of it being very toxic, or it's just you're not able, you know? So I do see my privilege there. So this is coming from a privileged point of view because I had that backup, you know? But yeah, where was I going with this? Let me take a sip of water. Okay, 1 second. Oh yeah, where I was going with this. So basically, I had no plan B. Sure, it crossed my mind sometimes. I was like, maybe I should work at a cafe. You know, maybe I should do this and that. Maybe I should find like a side job. But I was like, as long as I have the ability to have a space where I can create without being burdened by too many bills, because bills are still there. Like, I still have to, like, yeah, especially living in big city. It's not that cheap, you know? But, like, besides that, like, not having to pay rent and stuff, you know? Like, I saw it and I realized, okay, this is the opportunity. It's a great opportunity because I want to have the space to completely dive fully deeply into my craft. And that's what I did. And there was no plan B. And this is what helped the most. And now I have, as I said, I am not where I want to be, but it's all slowly unfolding beautifully, because now I have a beautiful community on Instagram and TikTok, very stable, very loving. I get so many lovely messages every day, and it just makes me so fucking happy. Okay? I have a small but juicy podcast that more and more people are discovering, which is such a hard space, which is pun intended, because that's kind of the name of the show. I have customers that come back to me consistently, whether it's tarot readings from me, whether it's coaching from me, whether it's my crystal jewelry. They keep coming back. And that is a sign for me that shows that what I'm doing is great. I'm devoted to it. I'm creating magic. I'm creating something valuable. Okay? And number 4, the best fucking thing, which I think I will make another video on, because I also saw a video about this the other day. I'm not sure who it was from, but if I make a video about the subject, I'm going to try and find it. As somebody who's very sensitive, most definitely neurodivergent, and just very sensitive in nature. Like, I get so easily irritated by bright lights, by noise, by people, by routines that I don't want to be in. I need to have my own routines, you know? As somebody like that, creating my own routines, my own rhythm, my own day-to-day life, my own working routines, has been the biggest fucking blessing of my fucking life. Because even on days where I am demotivated, I can still see the blessing in working for myself, because it's fucking amazing. I want to be in charge. I love being in charge. I am not overstimulated by it. I know for a lot of people, this just isn't possible, because they would rather be led and surrender to an already existing routine. And that is fucking amazing. That is fucking amazing. If you're that type of person, that is great. You know, it doesn't make anyone more special. I'm not more special than you. You're not more special than me. We're just different. And that is beautiful. But for me, I just love my freedom. And I love being able to say, okay, I need a break. I'm going to my hometown to visit family tomorrow. I don't need to hand in like a month's notice to tell my boss that I have to go there, like, for a couple of days. I can just do, and I can work from anywhere in the world, you know. And even on my solo trip, I worked. I filmed a shit ton of content and podcast episodes and all that. And yeah, the only thing that kind of I cannot do from anywhere, I mean, I could, but it would take a bit more work on getting all the stuff there. It's like shipping my jewelry, creating my jewelry, because I have a whole setup. I have a printer, I have packaging things, I have obviously all the beads, all the already made jewelry, so much. Okay, cleansing tools, because I always energetically cleanse every jewelry piece I ship, because I want it to arrive all juicy and clean with a clean slate. So I guess that would be a bit harder. Anyway, what I want to tell you with this, all of this information, is that there's going to be challenges. But if you truly feel within your heart that this is your path, it's going to be so incredibly worth it, because this, for me, is the blessing of a fucking lifetime. You know? And this is coming from somebody, I still don't have all of my ducks figured out, all of my ducks in a row. I still am not where I want to be, but I can see the consistent scaling of my craft, and I can see the consistent growth. It has been sometimes slow, but it has been incredibly steady. And steadiness is a byproduct of your devotion towards something. So if you are devoted to something, it is inevitably going to scale up. It is inevitably going to grow. I promise you that 1010%. 1010%. That is why I have so much belief in myself, because I mastered the art of being devoted towards something, with something. So therefore, I know I'm headed to greatness. I know I'm headed to even more abundance and success, because I am going all in. I have no plan B, and I'm deeply devoted to it, you know? And I'm also not saying that always not having a plan B is smart, because you gotta have it in certain situations. But in my case, I don't have to, which is great. But yeah, I'm just saying be smart, you know, because I was also smart. I was smart at putting a good amount of money to the side and saving up and not buying any unnecessary shit, even if I wanted to, okay? I was very smart with that. I sold 60% of my belongings, if I'm being honest. I sold a shit ton on Vinted. I sold some, even like cameras and like filming gear, like, and lots of clothes, okay? I got rid of so many things. Not only did this help me out financially, but it also helped me out energetically, because I made... Oh, am I still recording? Yes, okay. Because I made space for the new to come in. Okay, so get rid of your stuff that you no longer need as well. Is this all I have to say? I think so. Your dream is possible. You just have to be smart about it. You have to be willing. You have to be devoted. You have to be consistent. Consistency and devotion. Those two things. Ooh, the most important thing. Okay, Angel? Please, 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 please. Make sure that you're anchored into those two things if you want to embark on your own journey of being self-employed. So yeah, that was my story about that. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. Please comment. Feel free to let me know how this made you feel, what resonated with you the most, what thoughts occurred in your mind. And if you're listening on Spotify, feel free to rate this podcast 5 reviews, because I never say this, and I'm gonna try and start saying that in the beginning of my podcast episodes, because I realized, even though people, especially my community from Instagram, has been discovering my podcast and it's been gaining some lovely numbers, I still only have 6 5-star reviews on my Spotify. So I don't care about numbers, but I also know that numbers help grow the podcast. So I want to, reach as many people who resonate with my stuff and who could benefit from my stuff as possible. So if you'd like to help that, feel free to rate the podcast, okay? But it's not a need. It is just a simple, calm request, loving request. And anyway, if you would like to check out my jewelry, go to the description box, etoilescharms.com, my website. If you'd like to book a energy session or a coaching session or a full 1-month coaching with me, a devoted, dedicated 1-month orbit you can step into with me, where you have access to me every workday. You can text me. We're going to text each other. We have one juicy coaching session every week for 4 weeks. And you're going to receive meditations personally made from me, just for you specifically. If you are interested in all that, check out my website, henrywrose.bigcartel.com. It's all going to be linked down below. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you for being here. I love you so much, and have the most juiciest and blessed day, and I will see you next week on Heartspace Atelier. Goodbye.